Paulie, you made a bet earlier this summer on Garrett Wilson to lead the NFL in receiving yards at 30-1. I think you noticed that when it first popped, of course, a while after they actually landed Aaron Rodgers. You saw the touchdown over the weekend, the pass in the corner of the end zone. It was a beauty from Rodgers, and as we've seen on Hard Knocks, he does the same thing. People on the team, within the organization, blown away at what he can do with the football. Do you wish that you had more on Wilson 30-1? Because that number's long gone now.
Long gone. Cut in half, lower than that at some spots. I added Offensive Player of the Year 20-1.
Okay.
Grab some of that. You cannot defend that touchdown pass. Can't defend it. And how many times will that be there? Who knows? But certainly that's Zach Wilson that couldn't make that throw. Not many guys can make that throw. You remember, I think it was the second episode of Hard Knocks where the defensive coordinator is losing his mind in the meeting, film session, about no one can make that throw other than that guy, and he's on our team. Mm-hmm. So even the first play of the game, right? That quick slant where it gets 15 yards or the quick dump off right away. How many times is that there? Where if I'm not going to get up on him and give him some space, I can just throw the quick hitter, and that could be 15 yards. Or if it's press coverage, what he did for the touchdown pass. So what Chase did as a rookie and what Jefferson did as a rookie, I think are the outliers. But for this guy to have 1,100 yards as a rookie with that guy as his quarterback and Mike White, and now he has Rodgers, and it's a love affair, right? You just see how he raved. How they talk about each other. So I also go back to what Cobb said in the last Hard Knocks about, hey, he won't throw you the ball, man. He does not like throwing interceptions, and he needs to trust you. And that's, we trust Wilson. He loves Wilson. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there's a rapport there with Lazard and the other guys, but it's I think it's scary, the numbers he could put up. Maybe 1,700 yards might be too high, but from a fantasy standpoint, I think receptions and touchdowns, he could be enormous and have a monster year.
Well, I mean, look at some of the years that Davante Adams had when he was in Green Bay. I don't think Wilson is as good as Adams, but okay, maybe he's a tier below him. I'm talking about when Davante was absolutely peak Davante in Green Bay. He put up, that one season he missed like 2.5 games, and his numbers were, he would have been maybe the best season of all time from any receiver. I'm talking yards, touchdowns, maybe even receptions. He was unstoppable. And every single team knew where Rodgers was going to go that year. But Rodgers was in that form for 2 straight years where it was just like it was the zone for him. For like 2 full calendar years, like nobody could do anything.
Yeah.
Now they won't win a playoff game, but in the regular season, forget about it.
Yeah, I can do that any time inside the red zone. I'll just throw the fade.
Yep.
Right. Good luck. He's that good, and Rodgers can put it where he wants.
I'm curious what the talking point would be because there's so much hype on the Jets already. Like, what would it be if we all knew they had an easy start to their schedule?
Yeah.
And not what it actually is, where it's the Bills at home, at the Cowboys, they get the Patriots, the Broncos are on there, the Chiefs are on there, the Eagles are on that list. I mean, it's such a grueling first third of the schedule before their bye week that if they would navigate this 4-2, oh my God, you're never going to hear the end of it if you're the Jets. But imagine if it was easy where it's like, they can easily be 5-1 or 6-0. Then it would just be bonkers what the national narrative would be on this team.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it. I want to see what that unit's going to look like with him at quarterback.
The Monday night game is awesome. It's off the charts, the Monday night start.
If that's a good game, you know what the ratings are going to be for the full 3 hours?
Yes. Or if it's a blowout, I can't wait for Tuesday. Sky is falling for whoever gets buried in that game. If it happens.
Yeah.
But they did an excellent job with the prime time games. Lions, Chiefs to kick off the season in 10 days. Giants, Cowboys, and then that one Monday night.
Sure.
And then week 2, the Thursday night games, Minnesota and Philly, which is pretty good.
Sure. Steelers had a hell of a preseason.
Yeah, so did Tomlin did it again.
Again, if you were not betting the Steelers this year or unaware that for next season, make note of that. Tomlin is just, they're like the new Ravens now all of a sudden. And really not even all of a sudden. It goes back a good 3-4 years. They've been taking teams out pretty easily. Now, the way that Kenny Pickett looked in the preseason, along with the emergence of George Pickens, Jalen Warren now is a backup running back or a guy who's going to share time with Najee Harris. And defensively, if they can stay healthy this year. Bill Barnwell on ESPN, I know that we talked about this last week, and I think you probably did on Thursday and Friday as well, on the teams that he expects to make a leap this year or vice versa. He actually has Pittsburgh going backwards this year. I think that's been kind of a sexy thought this time of year now for the last 2 years. It doesn't happen with the team,
No.
right? It doesn't. You can go back and figure out what exactly went their way a year ago and why that won't continue. But this has been ongoing now for 2 or 3 years, and Pickett, you would expect, is only going to get better. And I don't want to get nuts here with how they looked in the preseason, but that division is so good. Like, are they actually going to be a player this year, playoff team, and do some damage once they get there?
Yeah, they almost did it last year. You can be excited because they didn't have the big playability last year with the offense, and we saw that early on. I'm baffled by the Cleveland stuff. It doesn't make any sense. Like Paul Charchian said, every report out of camp is Watson looks terrible.
Yeah.
What if he just doesn't have it anymore? What if it's like, okay, well, I lost 2 years of my prime. I can't get it back, and I'm just an average quarterback now. I mean, he was dreadful when he was out there. Brissett was much better when he was out there. So couple that in with a coach on the hot seat and high expectations again. I'll keep pounding the table. I want the Steelers as the surprise team in that division, not Cleveland.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how the Steelers closed the season, everyone and your mother knows that he's never had the losing record, and how well the defense is going to play and how well they close the season. You're going to have a deadly, could be a dangerous combo with those two. And Pickett showed a lot in the preseason.
Maybe the numbers there that are available right now at DraftKings should be a little bit tighter than that on the third and the fourth place teams. Anyway, expected to be in that order, right, in that division. Like the Browns win total is 9.5. The Steelers win total is 8.5. Are we sure the Browns on paper should have expectations of a full game better than Pittsburgh? Like, is their overall talent that much better than the Steelers? Or are they sitting at 9.5 because they have a guy in Watson who we think could return to that 2019-2020 form, and we still have kind of an unknown at Kenny Pickett? Well, what if I told you that Kenny Pickett is going to play at least as well as Deshaun Watson this year, or maybe even a little bit better? Like, what if that scenario unfolds? Because I know this, Tomlin's a better coach than Stefanski. That dude won Coach of the Year like 3 years ago, and he's been on the hot seat ever since. And they've had talent now for a couple of years, and they never really, again, we get the full year with Watson here, but just saying, like maybe Pickett is closer to Watson than what people think. And they really don't want to give that kid a chance. Seems a little odd.
Canada's on the hot seat, the OC. That could be one problem for Pittsburgh. Steeler fans have a big problem with Canada. It didn't work out last year from an offensive standpoint. I think they were a disappointment. But maybe Monken and things don't click with Baltimore. That could happen. I mean, there may be too many injuries on the defense and they can't pick up the system, or who knows. But I'm high on the Ravens, but I would say expect the unexpected in that division. Maybe Burrow gets hurt. The Bengals get off to a slow start. It takes a while to adjust with the new offense now that Roman's out and what Monken wants to do. And then maybe Pittsburgh it looks like, I'll tell you, I love them week one against the 49ers. I wish I would have grabbed the 3. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you not take that at home? That's a great game to start, but something just seems off with San Francisco so far. But it's going to be a great division. But again, this whole conference, I can't believe the Chargers are like $1.30 to make the playoffs. I know. That's another one. Just shows you how stacked this league is. A
couple of minutes here on the Arizona Cardinals. When you look at their overall unit rankings at Pro Football Focus, I think this tells you all you need to know. The offensive line, they have them 31st, 44 penalties last year, tied for most. Defensive line, they have them ranked dead last. Linebackers, 23rd. Secondary, 29th. They allowed the highest success rate in 2022. Running backs, 31st overall. Wideouts, 28th. And they were 20th in special teams DVOA last year. Now, I will say this. This team is going to be such a big dog in many games. I don't think I'm going to be fading him that much this season. You need to be ahead of it a year in advance rather than a year too late. And this is the one team that I was really, really down on last year, basically because I don't like Kyler Murray. So it happened to work out, sniffing that one out, thinking that they were going to be bad. Are they going to be bad this year? Yes, they're going to be worse. But it's not going to be a team that was coming in from the previous year that made the playoffs, and they're going to have semi-decent expectations. It's the exact opposite. I think they might have some competition for worst team in the league, but
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so?
I changed my mind on that. I think they should be odds on to have the worst record. They just traded starters and traded some key players. I mean, when's the last time we've seen this in the NFL? This is blatant tanking. And this is, as Lombardi said, he thinks they'll move on from Kyler Murray. I don't know what they can get for him, but the plan is we'll take Caleb Williams. We'll try to get Harrison. We have the Texans pick. We'll try to get something from Murray, and that's how we'll turn it around. They won 4 games last year. How was the win total 4.5? They're trading everybody.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.